Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to the Standard of Truth podcast, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Today, I am going to be doing a live reaction to a recent campaign stop by former President Donald Trump. Y'all, Donald Trump went to my hometown of the Bronx, the Castle Hill section to be specific. I actually am from New York City, the Bronx to be specific. And Castle Hill was literally, I could walk to Castle Hill from the Soundview area of the Bronx where I grew up. And seeing Trump at this campaign stop at a barbershop in the Bronx is very nostalgic because it reminds me of a time when New Yorkers just stuck together. There wasn't all of this partisan politics. It was politics, and then it was, we're New Yorkers. And so the fact that Donald Trump is from Queens, I told y'all, Trump is ghetto. When Trump, he makes a statement here that says, I know these people, I know them well, we're not that much different. He actually really means that. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happened when Trump decides to go into a barbershop up in the Bronx.
So former President Donald Trump joined me at Knockout Barbershop in the Bronx to talk to voters. Here's a look at that.
Nice to see you all. Wow, how are you? Nice to see you. How good are the barbers here?
Excellent.
I can see they're good. They look good to me. Nice soft floor. What's that all about? Is it some wrestling matches? Thank you. Nice to see you all. How are you? Big hand, strong guy. Nice to see you. So you're the owner?
My son's the owner.
Oh, you did that very nice and easy, huh? Is he as good as you?
Great.
Good. Nice to see you. Thank you very much.
So, Mr. President, you know I've been going to the barbershops all across the country.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a natural conversation, you know, with these folks right here. So this fellow right here, he used to be in law enforcement for some years. What would you say is the most important issue facing the country right now?
For me, it's the border.
Right.
For me, it's the border.
I agree.
And how to control that, how to keep illegal migrants from coming into the country.
Right.
Very important for me. And if I had a question to ask about it, would be how do we control the city, sanctuary city? Because New York is
We get rid of them.
yeah.
So I'm going to stop it right there because first thing that I observed about this barbershop, if you know anything about the Bronx is a melting pot, but there is a huge Hispanic, like, listen, I grew up in the Bronx. Either you was black or Hispanic. Like, I didn't really know. I knew that there were other ethnicities present in the Bronx, but like Castle Hill, I mean, it's straight Boricua country. It's just Hispanics are everywhere. You grew up with these people. Everybody speaks Spanish or a derivative thereof. And for Trump to walk into this barbershop, he seems very comfortable, right? He's very comfortable. He's engaging with the people there. No one seems to be afraid, as if he is Hitler, like the media tries to portray. These people, these men, if you notice, they appear to esteem him. And I'm going to tell you why they esteem him. Trump represents masculinity, he represents courage, and he represents strength. And Hispanic men, by and large, are very family-oriented men. They are what I would refer to as purposeful patriarchs. They know what it's like to have to grind hard every day for your family and to take care of the people that you love. And so I noticed that these people, even though Donald Trump is a billionaire, he is coming into their space as an equal in the sense that these men work hard, they provide for their families, and they are just all around trying to make sense of the chaos that's in this country. Now, if you notice, this gentleman, the first gentleman, when asked what was the most pressing issue for this country, this man said illegal immigration. Did you notice? He doesn't look like a foundational Black American, and that's not my argument, right? Because illegal immigration doesn't just hurt Black Americans and white Americans. illegal immigration hurts all Americans. New York City has a huge immigrant population. Most of the kids that I grew up with were first generation born. They were born here and their parents were immigrants here. Those individuals know the value of coming here the right way and having to figure it out. They know what it's like to stay in an apartment with 10 to 12 of them all together, working hard, trying to make a living so that their immediate family can move out and then go send some money for their other relatives down in Puerto Rico or down in DR or down in Cuba or Honduras to come up to New York to make a way for themselves. But they understand that there's a proper way to do it. This gentleman brings up the fact that illegal immigration is the number one problem for him. And not only that, he says that what do we do about the city's sanctuary status? This is someone of Hispanic origin telling you we need to do something about this sanctuary city status. The idea that you could just come here and find refuge, and many of the individuals who are coming with you, coming here illegally, you already got a criminal element to you. Right? That's just a fact. The fact that you would scratch through the fence or hop in a car and use it as a boat or walk the Rio Grande in order to come into America and not do it the right way, it says a lot about your character. And it says a lot that there possibly might be a criminal element to you. I'm not saying that all of the ones who come illegally are criminals. But what I'm saying is there's a heightened level of concern for these able-bodied military-age men who are coming over here illegally. And these individuals in this barbershop are saying, Trump, you got to do something about this because it's hurting us. And what does Trump say? What is his response? We get rid of them. He's not ashamed to say that deportation is necessary. What you need to understand about Donald Trump, that these facts and this inconvenient problem that we are having don't care about your feelings. It doesn't make him less of a humanitarian. It doesn't make him less of a human. What it does is it makes him a man who understands that I have to protect my country and the people within its borders. And we can offer humanitarian aid and assistance to those on the outside, but we have to vet you properly. You got to come here the right way. It needs to be tempered and controlled and measured in a way that we are not bringing too many people in too fast. But more importantly than that, Americans come first because this is America. I like his response. We're going to hear a little bit more from him.
Sanctuary, you know what they for? Criminals. And all over the country, the criminals go there. But you're right, you know, the polls are showing that inflation and the border's third. They have inflation and the economy as the number one and number two issue. I disagree. I think inflation is massive, the economy is massive, but the border to me is like, it's the fabric of our country. And we had the strongest border in recorded history. 4 years ago, you had a border. You didn't have the problems that you have now.
Listen, let me tell you something. If you live in New York, this illegal immigration situation is a massive problem. It is a massive problem in terms of the amount of money and resources that the city has allocated to take care of these people at the expense of American citizens. It is insane. On top of that, the crime. New York is already a crime-ridden city. It's grimy, okay? It's survival of the fittest up there. It is keep your head on the swivel. They don't have, very, very liberal 2A laws. So if you're carrying probably very illegally because they don't just let any old body carry a firearm. The people here understand the criminal elements and they understand how it has impacted their city, right? All of the illegals who are riding on scooters to commit these crimes, snatching cell phones, snatching purses, doing all kinds of acts of nefarious intent. It's because they're criminals. And we're not saying that they're not well-meaning families that have migrated to these cities seeking asylum, if that's what we're calling it these days. But what the people are telling you is that this illegal immigration is a problem. And Mayor Adams should have done something about their sanctuary city status. But because he really thought that the Democrats were going to have his back, He just kept going along with the plan. Then when he realized that it was going to bankrupt and cripple his city, now he indicted. So now the city is just completely in shambles, and Trump is coming here not with an emotional appeal, but he's coming here saying, I'm going to do something about it because I did something about it the last time I was in office. Trump knew that illegal immigration was a problem, and so he started construction on that border wall. He empowered ICE to do what they needed to do. The border had resources to keep the people who ain't supposed to be here out and to protect the people who are already in here in. As soon as the Biden administration got into office, they halted construction on the wall. And then your borders are Kamala invited and told these people to come, and they came by the millions. And then when she realized that turning on that spigot was a bad idea, it's like, oh, don't come. Don't come. The incompetence of this administration has put Americans at risk. And these men, I am so glad to hear them articulate, what are you going to do about this? Because this is a problem.
Last week they announced that we had 13,099 convicted murderers released from jails all over the world. You know, it's not South America, it's all over the world, including South America. So I agree with you. I think the biggest problem we have is the border. It's something, and it's also the hardest thing to solve. And the only way you can solve it, you have to get the criminals, the murderers, you got to get them out. You got to get them out fast before they prey on our people.
That was a big question for me because I'm a retired New York City detective. Right. So in New York here, we've run across that for a long time.
The other problem you have is that you're not allowed to do your job.
Yeah.
And when you were there, you go back 10, 15 years, when you were there, you were allowed to do your job. New York's finest. They're still New York's finest, but they're not allowed to do their job.
So when you were president, I know for a fact, I was able to do three things. I was able to see money, save money, spend money.
Listen, when a man is telling you, when you were in office, I was able to do three things. Make money. What did he say? Let's go back.
I was able to see money,
save money,
spend money.
See, save, and spend. Facts. When Trump was in office, I saw a whole lot of money. I was spending a whole lot of money. But I did manage to save and amass a lot of money. And thinking that he was going to be afforded the opportunity to serve this country in a second term, I saved up enough money that I was able to bankroll cash without having to go to a lender and open up a second furniture store that is now closed, by the way, due to Biden's economy. So how is it this man is in office, I'm able to see it, spend it, and save it. This is in a 4-year time span. Save enough to open up a second retail operation. And then within 2 years of the Biden-Harris administration, I had to shutter the doors and close up shop because I could not, the inflation was impacting my customer base so bad that I was unable to sustain the operation and had to make a decision. That's what this man is telling you. These men are action-oriented, and they're talking about results. They don't care about his statements about grab them by the you-know-what. They don't care about Charlottesville. They don't care about January 6th. What they care about is their lived experience in real time and which administration is going to move the weights out of their way so that they can compete and do what they want to do, which is get some bread in their pocket because it impacts the future prosperity of their families and generations to come. That's what his answer represents.
The past almost 4 years now, I'm losing my business, basically. The money's just not there.
It's your business?
It's my business. I started it for the past 10 years, and the only time I knew I made it was when you were in office, so I can speak for myself.
Right.
And the thing is, it's like, I don't know what more to do. How can we make the economy come back?
Listen, when I tell you I feel this man, for 10 years he ran a business, and by the time Trump got in office, he was like, I have made it. That is my story. I started my business in 2012. At the height of Barack Obama's second term, and it was rough. We were a startup and we struggled, but we kept at it. We kept on going. We kept the grind. We kept reinvesting. We lived very meager, very conservatively, because we're trying to grow a business. And by the time Trump got in office, we were at the peak of our prosperity years. And then Biden Harris comes into office and the whole bottom falls out. That is exactly that man's story. That is exactly my story. So his thing is, what the heck can we do? Because this is an economic problem. And Trump is like, wait a minute, you lost your business? He's like, yes. You can't. It is difficult to sustain and thrive a business in this economy because most of your customer base, they don't have disposable income anymore because they're trying to just keep a roof over their head and keep food on the table. And some of them are like, I'm just trying to get a job because there are no jobs out here. I felt that man when he said that.
So here's what we're doing. Number one, it all began with the oil. They screwed around with what I did with oil. We had the greatest. We were energy independent. You remember back 4 or 5 years ago, $1.87 for a gallon of gas. We actually had it lower than that for your car. $1.87. Now it's at 3.5, but it was much higher. They brought back my policies to break even, but by that time the damage was done, and now you have inflation and you have the cost so high, and they haven't gone down. We're going to do two things. Interest rates are going down. It's going to be brought down. It's going to be brought down fast, but much more importantly and quicker, we're going to drill, baby, drill. You've heard that, right? Drill, baby, drill. We're going to get our oil. We're going to have much more of it. Than we're going to do 4 to 5 times more than we're doing right now. We can do that. These people are amazing. They can do it. And we'll be supplying it to Asia. We'll be supplying it to Europe. We'll be supplying it to everywhere.
So this is a very condensed version of an actual plan on how to grow and stimulate an economy. Trump is a businessman. So he's like, listen, our liquid gold right here on this soil is this oil. Ain't nobody thinking about no Green New Deal. We're going to drill, baby, drill. Why? Because in order to stimulate the economy, you have to have a product that you can sell to others to generate the revenue that you need. And when you're generating the revenue that you need, it is going to bring the cost of whatever good or service you're providing, it's going to bring it down. Fuel prices are so high right now because we're buying it from other people. Like, make this make sense. You guys want to vote for a woman, or you supported an administration that thought it was a smart and prudent idea when you have liquid gold right here on American terra firma, on this land, this soil, to go and buy it from your enemies or from a socialist country to make them rich. What kind of ignorant economic policy is that? That's not a plan. That demonstrates that you're incompetent. Trump is like, we're going to drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill, tap into our natural resource, and we're going to export it. There's a thought. We're going to export it out to the rest of the world and make them pay. Going to make them pay. And not only is all of that drilling going to create and generate jobs, it's going to bring prices down, which ultimately impacts so many things. One, it impacts our logistics industry, the truckers, the fuel surcharges right now are ridiculous and out of control. And if you were an independent owner operator, just the fuel alone, you're like, this is not sustainable. And not only does it impact the logistics industry, which actually impacts how goods and services move and flow within this country, the consumer is affected. We're affected at the gas pump, but not just that, the energy required to run your house, your electricity, your heat in the wintertime. If you bring those prices down, that puts more money in your pocket and gives you more disposable income to use to do other things, which is to go out and spend. You're not hoarding your money because you're like, it requires 3 times as much money just to heat my house than it did before. So I'm not going to go out and buy that new widget that I've been looking at because I got to keep that for the gas. I got to heat my house. I got to provide electricity for my house. Keep it cool. The energy costs are ridiculous. That's what these men, well, that's one of the solutions that Trump has presented in order to solve the problem of the economy.
And that's going to bring down prices. It's going to bring down the cost. If you make donuts, when you look at these stores, they have trucks that deliver, they have stoves and ovens, you have your lighting, you have all this, equipment. And all of that electric equipment that he's using on your beautiful head of hair, you have a good-looking head of hair. I'm jealous. Look at that flat top. I'd have a flat top. I wish I had a flat top. You never had a hair loss problem, did you? Lucky. He's one of those gifted ones. Anyway, what you do, those machines are very expensive. They're running machines that electric. When that comes down, like in a shop like this, no matter what you do, it's about energy. We're going to bring it down. We're going to get the prices down. How's your rent done in terms of, do you own the store or is it rented?
No, it's rented.
And is the landlord a good guy? Is he okay?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Do you cut his hair out?
I mean, he comes in from time to time.
You know what? If you're as good as your father says, right, and you cut his hair great, that's very important to barber to a guy. So he could be a wealthy landlord, but he'll give you a low rent because having a good barber is a very important thing, I can tell you.
So, Mr. President, you got a young guy right
That's a
there.
big thing, though.
It's a huge thing.
So how is your rent then? So where was it like 5 years ago, the rent?
I mean, the rent was significantly lower. Now it's gone up about 1,200 cents.
It's okay. It's a big
and
increase.
My issue was more the energy. I've been paying $2,100 since I first opened up. In the last 7 months, it shot up to $15,000.
What?
It's $15,000, and that's
You went from 21.
Can you imagine having an energy bill from $2,100 to $15,000? When in my furniture store, I think I've seen a $1,200 electric bill, but I ain't never seen 15 grand. Depending on the square footage, that is highly possible. But in New York City, Con Ed, I totally believe that that's how much his last energy bill was. That is crazy. That is insane. Drill, baby, drill. That's the solution. And it's not even a hard problem. The Keystone Pipeline, which Biden got rid of, completely put us in a position where we were no longer energy independent. We need to open up that pipeline. And I'm sure there are others that needs to be opened up so that we can drill, get that liquid gold, and make it do what it do, boo-boo. Kudos to the Trump campaign for agreeing to do this sit down in this barbershop with these men, asking thoughtful, pensive questions of substance. Not are you going to give us reparations, not what you're going to do about some monument, some inanimate object that ain't bothering nobody, not some, how you feel about Jim Crow. No, we are talking about substantive things that are impacting the here and now, and I was here for it. Donald Trump is an amazing president, not because he's the most articulate, not because he's a sloppy communicator, but he is a communicator that can connect with the people. This was Trump from Queens connecting with people on an intimate level, unscripted. He doesn't need a teleprompter to answer these questions. He is just a human that can relate to the common man and party with you down at Mar-a-Lago if need be. These people at this barbershop, I know that they believe that he is a better choice for this country because they are thinking logically and not emotionally. I think this was an amazing event. There's going to be one in Atlanta today at a barbershop in Tucker. If I had time, I would stop by. I am hoping that some really thought-provoking questions of substance get answered. Trump doesn't have a problem being held accountable. Actually, there's another aspect of this that I want to react to, but we may not have time. But what it is someone asked Trump, what could you have done different that you either didn't get an opportunity to do in your first term Or was there something looking back that you wish you would have done different? One of very similar questions that Kamala was asking. You know what Trump said? Trump admitted that when he got to DC and stepped into the White House, he's an outsider. He's like, I'm a New Yorker. I know New York. I don't know this political landscape. I know business. And what Trump says is that effectively he knew what to do, but an area of weakness and deficiency within his administration was that he had a lot of the wrong people around him. He admitted that a lot of the people that he had advising him, he was simply trusting that those who were already part of, I guess, the establishment made suggestions on who to put in the point where. And he says, now he knows better. Now he knows, no, I got to recruit and get the right people and put the right people in place. And that was a mistake that he made the first time around. And despite that mistake, he still had a relatively successful administration. However, he was humble enough to admit that he didn't know what he didn't know, and he has learned the lesson. That is a mark of a great leader, that once they recognize and identify the deficiency and the weakness, they course correct. And they're like, oh, well, we won't do that anymore. But no, you got Kamala out here, when asked a very direct question such as, what would you have done differently than Joe Biden? Well, I can't think of one thing in particular that I would have done different, because she ain't got no self-awareness. She don't think that there's anything that she has done wrong. She thinks that the administration is winning because she has all these yes people around her telling you guys are doing great. The media is telling her that she's doing great, even though she's not. So when asked with a question like that, she can't respond in a very honest way to say, you know what? We down bad. Like, we made a lot of mistakes. And if I could go back and fix just one, it would have been X. Matter of fact, let me see. I just want y'all to hear from his mouth so y'all won't say that I'm making it up.
By 4 times. Yeah, let's go. You want to ask one question.
Here it comes.
You probably feel like you didn't do in your first term that you feel like you could do better now.
I'll tell you the one thing, because I did, we had the best economy with the best border. We had so I did a lot of good stuff. Rebuilt the military. It's all about people. I got to get the right people. You know, when I went there, I won. 92% of the presidents, 92% for the whole history of our country were politicians. 8% were generals. No admirals. 8% were generals. That's it. That's 100%. 92 and 8. They were politicians and they were generals. General Washington, et cetera, et cetera. George Washington. Thank you. You're doing very good at that. I'm just going to sign this.
I got longer arms than you.
Yeah, you do have longer arms. So here's what we do. We take all of that and we come, and here comes Donald Trump down the line. And so it's about people. It's all about people. I went to Washington 17 times in my entire life. So I wasn't a Washington person. I was a New York person. So when I went to Washington, all of a sudden I'm standing in the White House opposite the Lincoln bedroom. And I said, man, this is so amazing. But I didn't really know too many. So I had to rely on people to give me recommendations for people, to run agencies, to be secretary of this, secretary of that, all big stuff. And I didn't know anybody. I had to rely. And I still did great. Look, we rebuilt the military. We knocked out ISIS. We did all these things. We did great. We had the best economy. We had the best everything. Everything was good. But I had some people that if I had it to do again, I wouldn't have used. Now I've been there 4 years, plus another 4 that I'm sort of there in a way. I know the best people. To me, it's all about people. You got to have the right people. We have the best people lined up. We're going to do a great job. Listen, so I'm going down to see the Wall Street Journal. If I had my choice, I'd stay with you for 2-3 hours.
I love it. I love it. A leader who was able to admit, if I could do things different, here's what I did not know. I didn't know how swamped the deep was, because the swamp is swamping. And if I could do it all over again, I would have picked different people in key leadership positions, because I trusted individuals to guide me in these appointments. And they were mistakes. I believe one of those was Dr. Anthony Fauci, right? I think there were so many different people. Omarosa was one. There were a lot of people who ain't had no business being where they was in his first administration. And even despite all that, he still managed to win. So I don't know, you guys. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment down in the description box below. What did you think about this town hall? Did you think it was authentic? Did you believe that Trump was relatable and that the campaign promises that he's making, he's going to make good on, considering the ones he made the last time, he actually does deliver? Or do you think Kamala Harris does a better job? Now, has she put herself in a situation like this? No. Everything is always very controlled and staged. Trump just walks right in and sits down and talks to the people. And the boogie down Bronx had love for Trump. I would not be surprised if Trump gets more votes than any Republican in New York this time around than ever before. I don't know. I can't prove that. I got this gut feeling that New York is by and large the smart, wise, purposeful patriarchs of New York. They're going to show up and they're going to come through for Trump. Until next time, you guys, grace and peace.